Penta. This is WICR.
Hello, Iona College. Welcome back to the Sports Vault. Jersey Joe and Big Shot Rob back in action. Did a lot of basketball, some baseball stuff. I'm sure everyone's heard by now about the Hanley Ramirez and Pablo Sandoval deals. We broke those down. Those will be up on YouTube later, so if you missed them, no worries. You'll be able to catch them. But we're moving into the NFL, and to be honest, it wasn't the greatest weekend, but we did have some very good games. Starting off, one of which was the headline, was the Detroit Lions going on the road against the New England Patriots. Now, Rob, I picked the Patriots. We all picked the Patriots, even though they were playing my Lions. And I'm still worried. Look, the Lions, I think defensively in that game, you can't put a lot on their shoulders. But the Lions offense, I can't put my finger on what the issue is. I put a lot of blame actually on Matt Stafford. I think Stafford hasn't had a very good year. Only 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. You just look at this offense, and they've struggled so mightily getting in rhythm. They have a lot of talent. Golden Tate's been outstanding. Calvin Johnson is the best wide receiver in the NFL. What's the big issue for the Lions offense?
Matthew Stafford.
You agree?
This guy does not know how to win games. That's the biggest problem. The past 2 weeks, I'm getting upset about this now. No touchdowns. He got 6 points versus the Cardinals, 9 points versus the Patriots. Now, you're one of the top teams right now. Your defense is top. When you come in versus the New England Patriots, you better be throwing at least 4 touchdowns to win this game because their defense is tough. But Matthew Stafford has been so inconsistent. He's only had 36 completions the past 2 weeks. He's had 40 incompletions, the past 2 weeks. And the guy is so inconsistent. This is dating back to when he first got drafted. We've seen his ups when he's had great years, and then we keep seeing his downs. And Matthew Stafford, one thing I have to say, though, that keeps upsetting me with him is whenever he's getting rushed, he'll throw that sidearm pass. And I'm sick and tired of it because it's very annoying with a professional quarterback like him.
And I think that's the thing that drives you crazy about Matt Stafford is when you're an established quarterback at this point, even though he's still young, you want to see the progression. You want to see those bad old habits going away. You want to start to see him moving in that right direction. And I think that's kind of the calling card is when you're that guy and you're kind of progressing, those old habits go away. You start to figure it out against the better teams. And I've just haven't seen that progression in Matt Stafford. I think he has as good arm talent as anybody in the NFL. His arm is ridiculous, just the strength. But we see time and time again, he always resorts back to those sloppy mechanics. And to be honest, he just hasn't gotten it done ever against a quality team on the road in his career. He really hasn't. Last week against Arizona, this week against New England. He hasn't gotten it done, and it brings issues up about his future a little bit. Now, I'm not ready at all to write off his future, but I think I would like to see the progression from him. Now, I think a big part of it is you definitely see with Jim Caldwell, with as good as their defense is, he definitely doesn't want Stafford taking as many chances, being the gunslinger he was. But I just think if you're this Lions team, you're going to need this offense to take some more chances at some point. And Stafford, to be honest, just hasn't played well. New England, though, they're just a very, very talented football team. Getting another win, they just look like they have it all figured out right now. But let's go on to the next one. The Atlanta Falcons and the Cleveland Browns. Rob, I know you're a Jets fan and things have been tough, but I don't know. If I was a Falcons fan, I don't know if I could live with myself right now.
Yeah, these Falcons, Joe, since last year, I do not understand how this team has progressed so badly going down. It is one question that's still going to hit me every day because I don't know how they went from a team that would go 13-3 every year, undefeated at home every single season for like the last 4 years, to just where they are now, where it's just an embarrassment to even watch them.
It is. Now, and I think Mike Smith, look, we all pretty much understand Mike Smith's gone after this year, but if you needed to have any more reassurance that Mike Smith needed to go, all you needed to do was watch the last minute of that game. 55 seconds left, and he calls the timeout. You know how much time they could have run off and then kicked that field goal? You left 55 seconds on the clock, and then, 55 seconds when the Browns have their timeouts, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time. And they were able to use that, and they lost another game. They lost the game against Detroit that way. They lose another one at home against Cleveland. If I was Arthur Blank, I would have been enraged. Mike Smith, brutal in the execution of that late game. I think there's no question he needs to go. I'm sorry I have to call him out, but like you were saying, Rob, you can't go to the NFC Championship and then have 2 years consecutively like they've had. You're going in the complete wrong direction. Now, I think Atlanta's got a lot of personnel problems, but you just look at this team, they're just going the complete wrong direction. They need to bring in a new coach. They've got a quarterback, which solves half the problem, but they desperately need a new head coach there.
And Joe, even with that game, even with his mistakes, Brian Hoyer had 3 interceptions.
Yes.
How did this team even put up 26 points? You know what? Crowell scored 2 touchdowns rushing for this team. But Brian Hoyer throws 3 interceptions. That's where you take away this game. Once a quarterback has a bad game like that, you should instantly win this game. And you know what? Brian Hoyer hasn't been playing good the last 2 weeks. And Atlanta should have been taking full advantage of this. Atlanta should have got the W. This would have been key to take over first place in the NFC South.
I 100% am with you. I have no faith in the Atlanta Falcons. A nice win for the Browns on the road. Let's go to the Tennessee Titans and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Titans lose again, and I don't think the score is really a fair reflection of this game because it was close to a point. The Eagles, though, winning 43-24. And Rob, I have my concerns about the Eagles' defense. But do you think Mark Sanchez? Look, we all understand the Eagles are 8-3, the Cowboys are 8-3. They'll match up on Thanksgiving, which is going to be a tremendous matchup. Can Mark Sanchez at least get this series to be a split? Can they go 1-1 against Dallas with Mark Sanchez at quarterback?
I don't think so.
You don't think they'll win one of them?
No, I think Mark has returned to his normal self with what he was with the Jets, where he was the interception machine his rookie year. We look at his game yesterday, 30 for 40, 307 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 picks. And you look at the defense wasn't as key, and the running game wasn't such a big key. The Eagles really didn't win this game versus the Titans because of Mark.
I'm with you. I think it's going to be very, very difficult. I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm with you. I like Mark. I think he's got better personnel. Chip Kelly being there helps him, but the Cowboys would just have so many advantages over him right now. I'm a little bit worried about the way where things are going for the Eagles. Let's go on to the next one, the Jaguars and the Colts. Now, this one was kind of interesting because, this game was pretty close for a while. The Colts up 6-0 at 6-3 at halftime, but they kind of pulled away in the third quarter. It shows, 7-4 for the Colts. It's been a little bit ugly at some points, but they do get the win against the Jaguars. The Jaguars 1-10 though, Rob. Now the Jaguars 1-10, the Raiders 1-10. Which team would you say right now? Look, they've both been the bottom feeders in the NFL for years now, but which one would you say has a little bit more hope?
I'm gonna go with the Oakland Raiders because my reason for this is we looked at last season, Joe. The past 2 years, Jacksonville started off bad, always finished strong. This year, that's not going to happen.
No.
I don't know what happened with this team. One of the best defensive teams last year.
Yeah, last year. Remember that second half they had was outstanding. They were playing well.
Yeah, they put it together, and they draft Blake Bortles, give it a couple games, this team's going to be on the right track. Never fully got up to that level. But I see Oakland in the next couple years being a better team. I really see it happening.
Here's where I'm with you why I think Oakland's in better shape is because I think Carr has shown me more promise than Bortles has now. And it's funny because in the preseason it was the opposite. I thought Bortles in the preseason looked sharp. He really did, but I don't know. I've been very disappointed with the way Blake Bortles has looked. Now, look, again, it's so early and it's very hard to judge a rookie quarterback his season like this, but I have been a little worried. I haven't seen much to really make me optimistic about Blake Bortles. Have you?
No, I'm not impressed whatsoever. I really thought he would be a better quarterback And now 8 touchdowns, 15 picks this year. Not impressed whatsoever with him. I really expected higher numbers than that.
We're agreed on that one. Now, the Bengals and the Texans, this was one of my most surprising ones. I thought the Texans were going to really give them a hard game at home. I really just didn't trust Cincinnati on the road against these better teams. Now, there is a report that apparently perhaps Ryan Mallett had a pec problem, but I still don't know how much you can read into that. But the Bengals, it's another win on the road. They do get it, and I still don't know. I mean, the amazing thing about the AFC is, I mean, you have 10 teams deep in the AFC who are legit contenders. I mean, a lot of teams around that ballpark. It's going to make, at the end of the season, just a mess. But, Rob, for the Bengals, what's your stance on them right now?
All right, here's what's going to happen. There's a chance they're going to make the playoffs. No matter what, they're getting knocked down the first round. Their offense is just so ugly. Andy Dalton, we talked about it, me and you talked about it over the summer when he signed that big contract extension. What was Cincinnati doing? We didn't understand that. And Andy Dalton's not living up to that contract. Over the last couple weeks, I could say going back to when Cincinnati played the Colts, Andy Dalton's offense still is not flowing right. The guy's still throwing interceptions, really struggling in games to score points. And this Cincinnati team, you know what? Yeah, they got the win, but they're in bad shape still, in my opinion.
I'm with you. I mean, it's a deceptive 7-3-1. It is, because Dalton, I mean, even in that game, that pick six he had, that was awful. I still think this team, you're 100% right. They've shown you what they are the last couple years. When they get to the first round of the playoffs, I think it's going to be the same story. Let's go on to the Arizona Cardinals and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, a lot of us were riding high in the Cardinals, but they finally lose a game. The Seahawks winning that game at home 19-3. Drew Stanton, it was not the prettiest, 14 of 26 for 149 yards, 0 touchdowns. Did have the interception. Rob, are the Seahawks kind of waking back up?
Yeah, they need Carson Palmer.
They do.
Really do, because now with all the rivalry games coming up towards the end of the season, it's going to be really tough when you play San Fran and Seattle more later on in the season.
Back to back, the last 2 weeks of the season, brutal.
They might not even make the playoffs because of the loss of Palmer.
It's amazing. I mean, I don't know if we appreciated it, but I mean, even though Carson Palmer might not have been the singular reason things went so well for them, still a very big piece, and I think we're really seeing that now. Let's go to the Redskins and the 49ers now. Let's just be honest, RG3 is awful. Can you put it any other way? 11 of 19, 106 yards, 0 touchdowns. He's terrible, Rob.
Joe, by any chance, by him having that much accuracy in the game, do you think he bought his job for next week? Or you think,
my God.
I'm sick and tired of RG3. Take him out. He doesn't deserve to be starting. Put Colt McCoy in, because Colt McCoy is a better quarterback than this.
And here's the thing I like about Gruden. Even though things have been pretty miserable for the Redskins this year, Gruden's not a guy who's afraid to go out there and make a move. There are coaches who would be terrified to go out there and try to sell their fan base that RG3 shouldn't be starting. He should not be starting. He's awful. I think if you're the Redskins, you're moving on from him. I keep on going back to his rookie season because that's what people keep on clinging back to. Look how good he was his rookie year. Folks, his rookie year, he had 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. They built an offense that would just fit his athleticism. All he had to do was hand the ball off to Alfred Morris. The run game was outstanding. He relied on his athleticism. How many times did we see him breaking loose, running the football? He did not have just a wild offense out there, throwing the ball down the field, very conservative, run and gun. I think his rookie season fooled everybody. RG3 is not legit in this league. I think they need to move on from him immediately.
Oh, they definitely do, Joe. And the biggest problem, I think, with this Redskins team is Snyder. Because Snyder drafted him, he's babying him.
Yes.
That is the biggest problem. And you know what? I don't even think that it's Gruden's choice of having Griffin start. I think that Snyder's forcing him to start Griffin. And you know what? It's a shame. Because this Washington Redskins team, I think if you let Colt McCoy play the last couple games, I think they'd be in better shape right now. Might actually have a chance in the East.
Think how much they sold their a couple of years of their franchise for RG3. I mean, so they sold those picks for him. And the amazing thing now is, the people who were comparing him, saying he was a better the fact that he won Rookie of the Year over Andrew Luck still bothers me to this day, because and there's people who still, I mean, the numbers never lie. Got people, I think one of them was still believing that he's a better quarterback than Andrew Luck. If you think RG3 is a better quarterback than Andrew Luck, you should not be employed in sports, because you just have no clue what you're watching. Because if you watch what Andrew Luck does with what he has to work with and what RG3 does, just watch the games. There's no comparison. Andrew Luck and RG3, you can't compare the two.
No, you can't. And even if you were to go, oh, RG3 is a better rusher. First of all, look at Andrew Luck when he runs. Because Andrew Luck knows how to run the ball also, just as good as RG3. And you know what? Andrew Luck, nobody gives him credit with the team that he has. Andrew Luck doesn't have that great of a team. It's amazing for the job that he does. This quarterback's amazing. And you know what? He deserves to win a Super Bowl. Not somebody like RG3, who doesn't even deserve to be out there right now, because it's a shame that he was even the number 2 pick in the draft.
And that's the thing that bothers me, too, is, I mean, Andrew Luck, no matter what happens, I think he knows they need to get him help. Defensively, they need help. They need a lot of help for the Colts, but he never complains about it. He's just a guy who goes out there, gives it everything he has. RG3, that's one of the things that bothers me the most about him, too, is the way the guy just complains. A quarterback needs to take accountability whenever something goes wrong, even when it's not your fault. You're the quarterback, you're the leader of the team, you're the one who needs to take the responsibility, and he doesn't do that. And I think the immaturity of that, I think at the end of the day, Redskins fans, turn the page. That red RG3 jersey in my collection is going to go in the retirement closet very soon. But we vented about RG3 a little bit long, so let's go to the Miami Dolphins and the Denver Broncos. This was a heck of a football game. I definitely did not see Miami coming in. They did lose the game, but I mean, let's be honest, they really gave Denver a lot of problems. Rob, are the Broncos less scary, or are the Dolphins actually a legit contender?
I think they're less scary in Denver.
I'm with you.
I really think so. Joe, we look at so much of the additions they did this offseason. They made that defense 10 times better. And this team does not scare me whatsoever. If they were in the playoffs, I think any team could beat them right now. I would give the Indianapolis Colts a chance to even beat them.
Oh, me too. I mean, last year they were one of the scariest teams I ever saw in the regular season. I mean, that team, you snap your fingers, they score in four seconds. This team, it's just not as scary. I mean, you see against the Rams this week, against the Dolphins coming on the road, they're vulnerable. They're still a very good football team, 8-3, 6-0 at home, but they're vulnerable. I think New England showed you. I mean, this is a team that is just not the same. I think even a team like the Chargers, who did lose to the Broncos, will have a chance. I mean, this is not as scary as a team. The Dolphins, though, definitely becoming more of a contender. I think let's go to one more of the 4 o'clock games, the San Diego Chargers and the St. Louis Rams. There's been a lot of talk about Phillip Rivers being dinged up, not playing at full strength right now. Now, the Chargers got a gift in that one. I mean, they really had a chance to lose that game. At the end of the game, the Rams were in the red zone, on the goal line. Sean Hill throws that interception, letting the Chargers win. So the Chargers very, very close to losing that game. But Rob, what do you think from Phillip Rivers? I mean, remember, the first couple weeks of the season, the guy he might have been playing some of the best football of his career. Statistically, I think he was. But right now, I just think you see from him, something's not right.
Yeah, something really isn't, because even the last 3 weeks, it's been a real struggle, dating back to when they lost to Miami 37-0. He only threw for 138 yards in that game. Versus Oakland, they barely win, 13-6 throws for 193 yards. And I don't know if he might be hurt or something. Or
I think because Antonio Gates did come out and say he's dealing with a type injury thing. I think it could be possible, because when you watch now, he's really not making the throws down the field like he was. Everything's very much more in front of him now, and we all know that's not Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is a guy who likes to throw the ball deep, and you're not seeing that right now. Now, Ryan Matthews had a good game, 12 rushes for 105 yards and a touchdown. Hopefully that will help the Chargers if the running game can start to pick up a little bit, because the Chargers stretch coming up is very difficult. These last 2 games, they they were must wins because they had to win against Oakland and the Rams. Even though the Rams are a very good football team, they really always give you a good matchup. The Chargers desperately needed to win this one. And the final game of the day might have been the best game of all. The Dallas Cowboys beating the New York Giants at home. Rob, for me, I thought it was the best game I've seen the Giants play all year.
They played great. Overall, Joe, probably their best game until the end of the game, where
yes.
I kind of want to rip up the last 2 minutes of that game.
Yeah. I mean, the main thing I saw in this game was the Giants moved the ball every possession they had. Basically, I mean, their first possession went right down the field and scored. I mean, offensively, things were clicking. That was probably the best game I've seen their offensive line play all year. Good protection last night. The thing I thought was the turning point in that game was the interception from Eli, the Preston Parker pass. Preston Parker would have walked into the end zone if Eli completes that pass. Too high, bounces off. I mean, a little bit of that is on Preston Parker, but I think that's more on Eli. That ball was way too high, and I mean, Preston Parker, even if he just throws that a little bit lower, he walks into the end zone. But man, what can you say about Odell Beckham Jr.? The guy, I mean, was that the best catch you ever saw?
That is the best catch I've ever seen. It amazes me because you watch him before games warming up, how much he practices stuff like that. And the guy's amazing. You know, during halftime yesterday, I was watching was it half? It was either halftime or the end of the game. Tony Dungy goes on, and they go, "Coach, so what are your like favorite catches?" He goes, "I have 2 favorite catches. Number 1, Odell Beckham, probably the greatest catch I've ever seen, and number 2, David Tyree's catch in the Super Bowl."
Both belong to the New York Giants. I didn't think so at first. At first I was like, this is definitely top 5 of all time. But then when I saw the replay and they showed him, he caught it with 3 fingers. He caught it with his two end fingers and his thumb. I mean, it was insanity how athletic and his hands are amazing. Aside from Chris Carter, he might have some of the best hands I've ever seen. I mean, the guy just is incredible, Odell Beckham Jr. The Cowboys had no answer for him last night. I mean, it's a shame for the Giants because I felt like they really, really outplayed Dallas in that game. But whenever Dallas had the ball, I mean, the Giants, time of possession-wise, I mean, the Giants had the ball. Clearly, they had the advantage in that department. But when Dallas I have it right here. Giants had the ball 35 minutes. The Cowboys had the ball 24 minutes. The big difference, though, was that interception. And when Dallas did have the ball, they scored in a minute. Their offensive line is outstanding. They ran the ball better in the second half. And when they needed to score, even though they had the ball for a less amount of time, they did it very quickly. Is the defense, though, Rob, for you something that you're going to worry about going forward for the Cowboys? Because we did see this Giants team carve them up.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit scared because the Giants' offense hasn't been working right, Joe, the last couple weeks. And Dallas, you know, they played really so great this whole year. Their defense really stepped it up. And to have Eli Manning have such an accurate game where he throws for 3 touchdowns and 338 yards, they better look to fix that because versus a team like the Giants, they could have blown them out by a lot more.
I'm with you. Now, we've got a nice doubleheader tonight. The New York Jets against the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens on the road against the New Orleans Saints. Rob, take the floor. The New York Jets, Bills. Who's your pick in this game?
We're winning this game. New York is winning it. My reason for this is when we go back a couple weeks ago when the Jets lost to Buffalo at MetLife, Geno Smith had 3 picks in that game, and Michael Vick was just thrown into a terrible situation going into that game. Wasn't really prepared. You look at it now, starter, he has the game plan in his head. This guy is going to beat Buffalo. They're not playing in Buffalo. It's at a neutral site, and the Jets are going to win it.
I hate this game. I don't feel very good either way. I really could make a legit case for both teams. I'm just going with Buffalo here, but to be honest, I really have no strong feeling either way. I just don't even like it, so I'm going to go with Buffalo, though. And then the Saints and the Ravens, a very good matchup. Rob, we've said it all along. We have no faith in any team in the NFC South, but who do you like in this game?
I'm having a hard time picking this one. Because whoever wins this is going to be up there in first place in their division. And it's like, I like the Ravens. They have a great running game, great passing game, but they're too inconsistent.
Yes.
I like the Saints. Same thing, too inconsistent. And I really don't know who to choose. But right now I'll go with the Saints because they're the team that really wants it, I think.
I'm
right
with
now.
you too. I mean, I still have such a hard time picking against the Saints in their building. I mean, historically in the Drew Brees, Sean Payton era, they're very hard to beat in their building, in that Superdome. I think part of that is my thinking, but the Saints haven't shown me anything to go on to make me believe in them so far. I mean, I think they're really struggling to who they are right now. Mark Ingram's running the ball very well, but are they comfortable with when they need to run it, when they need to pass it, when are they running it too much, when are they passing it too much? I think the Saints have a lot of questions about who they are right now, especially defensively. I mean, they've struggled immensely on defense. I think it's going to be a very close game here, but I think at home you give the Saints a field goal edge, but I think this is going to be a tough game. Really, really need to see if the Saints can bounce back here, especially mentally, because mentally, with the Falcons losing, the Saints should be the clear-cut team, best team in this division. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, they should be the hands-down best team. We will see tonight what happens. A double two teams. 2 games should be a lot of fun to watch. When we come back, though, we will finish it off with college football, so stay with us, and we will be right back.
WICR presents This Moment in History.
3, 2, 1, and liftoff. Liftoff of the 25th Space Shuttle mission, and it has cleared the tower.
On January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded in the sky.